What's up, everybody? It's your man Gillis the Kid. I am back with another phone review. This time we're going to be taking a look at the BlackBerry Z10. Now, looking back on this device, it was a pretty good device, pretty fast and fluid. We're going to get to that in a second. I'm going to show you how the operating system looked and everything. Now, on January 30th, 2013, RIM, as they were known back then, called Research in Motion, announced that the company would officially be known as BlackBerry. They also announced that they would have a new operating system called BlackBerry 10. And then 2 months later, on March 22nd, the BlackBerry Z10 was released for $600 on AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Sprint was the only carrier that didn't have the Z10 available because they wanted to wait for a query keyboard, which they did when the Q10 came out. I'm going to have that in a later video. Now, around the same time the Z10 came out, the iPhone 5 was really popular, and you'll find a lot of videos with the Z10 versus the iPhone 5, and they all had pretty much the same specs. I'm going to get to that. And you know, BlackBerry, they were losing a lot of market share to Apple and Android, so they needed a way to get back into the game and to show off their new OS. So this is the device that they came up with, and as you can see, it doesn't have a query keyboard. It was a full touchscreen device, and I believe they brought this out before the Q10 because they wanted to show all the gestures and stuff like that. But you know, the younger population, or I'm sorry, the younger generation, they wanted you know, iPhones and stuff like that. So I'm gonna show you how the phone works and everything, show you all the specs. So right off the bat, it's got a 4.2-inch LCD display. It's got a 2-megapixel camera on the front right there, and then on the back it's got a 8-megapixel camera. So 2 on the front, 8 on the back. And you know, back in the day, that was a pretty big deal. I know it's not a big deal now, but having a 8-megapixel camera on your phone was pretty good. There was also 2 versions of this device. There was a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Plus processor that was a dual core, and then they had the Texas Instrument processors, which was a little bit slower. They also came in different bands because of the different carriers they were on. I'm going to drop everything down into the description too. And this is AT&T. You can see the logo right there. So if you wanted to buy this phone now, you would look for STL 100-3. That's for AT&T. And if you wanted to get Verizon, it would be STL 100-4 and so on. But I'm going to drop everything down into the description so you'll know exactly which phone to get, or if you just wanted to pick up an unlocked one. So this phone had 16 gigs of storage, 2 gigs of RAM, and it was expandable up to 64 gigs with a micro SD card. It had a 1800 milliamp battery, and it also had, I'll show you right here on the side. So you had a micro USB charging port, and you also had a micro HDMI charging port. So that was a pretty big deal back then. And it did have a removable battery. I'm going to show you that. Let me see. So all you would do is pop off the battery. That's it right there. You can take it out. I actually damaged the SIM card slot though, so I can't even use the phone anymore. I was trying to take out the SIM card. And then you have the micro SD card slot right there. So pretty small battery for its time. But that was a pretty big deal back in the day. So this phone, the back was made out of plastic. It wasn't as durable as an iPhone 5, but it is a tad wider. and a little bit taller if I don't have an iPhone 5 with me right now to compare it, but you can watch other videos. I'll drop them down into the description and you can see like the size comparison. So I told you all the specs. Now let's look at how it actually worked. So this was the home screen. You can see little dots at the bottom, so you can hit that if you want, and you can move you know, different ways across the screen, or you can just use your hand and swipe. BlackBerry 10 OS was all about gestures, so if you went all the way to the left, you would see all your apps open, and you were able to have 8 apps open at a time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you wanted to close it, you would just tap on the little X, and you can close out all the apps just like that. So super smooth. And then you would swipe further to the left to get to the BlackBerry hub, and then you would have you know, all your settings and stuff. So notifications, BBM, text messages, calls, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you set up, it would show right here. And you would just hit it, or you can swipe it. You can move up and down if you want. Pretty smooth OS. It did have a learning curve though. You would just swipe up just to get back to the home screen. So a little bit of a learning curve when it first came out, and that's probably what scared people a little bit away from it. But you know, at the time, BlackBerry, they were losing a lot of market share to Apple, so they had to have a full screen device to show off this operating system, because they made a big deal about it too. They even hired Alicia Keys at the event, and then I remembered later on this came out. But as you can see, it's pretty fast and fluid, and it basically kept everything in the hub for you. And of course, you would swipe down from the top. Let me go back to the home screen. I'm getting the hang of it again. So you would swipe down from the top, you would get your settings, you know, Bluetooth, alarm. There were notifications, AirPlay mode, flashlight, you know, whatever you decided to put in the top. And if you did have notifications, you would just swipe up and hold it, and right there on the side you can see if you had like any notifications. It also had a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. A lot of phones don't have that today. That was the microphone up top, right along with the power button. There was this a microphone right here, right under the BlackBerry logo, and there was your speaker like right there on the bottom. And then on the, let me see, on the right side, you had the volume up and down buttons, and then in the middle, this was a button for voice control. That was another feature that BlackBerry had. But looking back on this device, it was definitely a multitasking beast. When you compared it to the iPhone 5, it killed it in specs on paper. But you know, Apple, they have their own operating system. Everything runs a little bit differently. If you do want to check out like a BlackBerry device, you can probably grab one on Amazon now. But a lot of the apps in BlackBerry world, it's not even supported anymore. Especially apps like Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp. You have to actually go to the browser now to use it. But yeah, that's all I have for now. Let me know what you think about the BlackBerry Z10. You can probably grab one of these phones for about $100 now. I'll drop everything down into the description. I'm going to have some more videos of BlackBerry 10 and their devices coming up pretty soon. I want to thank everybody for watching. I love you guys, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.